Hey, Pastor Dave here. I wanted to talk about our recent intervention in Venezuela and the capture of Maduro and his wife. How should we as Christians think about this? Now, I'm not saying what should we think as Christians. You judge for yourselves, but how should we think as Christians? And in examining this, there are three important items we need to look at. Now, you're smarter than I am, I'm sure, so you could probably add more to this. But at the very least, there's a question of authority, a question of truth, and a question of wisdom in assessing what our government did in Venezuela. Question of authority is, did the President of the United States, as Commander in Chief, have the authority to use our military in order to capture Maduro? Authority is an important question because without proper authority, there is not proper action. So, for instance, a judge sentences a murderer to death. It doesn't mean anybody could visit the jail and put a bullet through the guy. There has to be proper authority that not only makes that decision, but then proper authority that carries out that task. There's also the question of truth. What is the truth? What are the facts? What are the real facts? Right? Was Maduro, in fact, a narco terrorist? Did Venezuela, in fact, steal American possessions, property, and so forth within the oil industry? Uh, did 20% of the population actually flee Venezuela under the Maduro regime? Are they working with terrorist organization and having members of terrorist organization in their country like Hezbollah? So you want to look at facts. What are the facts? What aren't? What is true? What is not true? And that also goes for the reasons that were given by the administration for their actions. So, were those reasons sincere, or were those reasons given in order to gain support from the American people? The third, and by the way, don't assume I'm making a point by asking these questions. Uh, I know where I stand, but I'm again focusing on how should we think about it, not what should we think. The third question then is a question of wisdom. The Bible tells us that wisdom is known by her children. So, what are the results of an action? And we could ask what would have been the results, probable results of leaving Maduro in power, and what will be the results of taking him out of power. And frankly, we may not have that answer for some years. Well, there are two kinds of people who really cannot consider this. There's the person that says Trump is always right, and then there's the person that says Trump is always wrong, because both of these groups of people will be reflexive instead of reflective. They'll have knee jerk reactions to issues instead of actually thinking them through. So, as Christians, we should be thinking Christians. We should weigh things like authority, truth, and wisdom, all of which are important aspects of our life in this world and of biblical values. So, y'all have a wonderful day. Remember that Jesus does indeed love you.